my name is Susan Vaughn. I was born in Texas in the United States, and I went to Harvard College where I studied psychology. And then I went to medical school at Columbia University, and I finished my medical training here, and then did a psychiatric residency, a chief residency, 2-year research fellowship in affective and anxiety disorders. And after that, I did my analytic training here at Columbia as well. And I've been on the faculty at Columbia since graduating.
Very interesting. Bueno, hoy vamos a hablar acerca de la psicosexualidad en el siglo XXI.
Today we're going to talk about psychosexuality in 21st century psychoanalysis.
Okay, great. Well, I don't know if you want me to tell the story, but I was certainly involved. I was one of 2 candidates who were the first gay or lesbian candidates at an institute of the American Psychoanalytic. So when I started my training at Columbia in 1993, I had a colleague, Paul Lynch, who started also at that time in Boston, and we were the first openly gay candidates in the American Psychoanalytic.
Fue parte de ese movimiento, porque ella y otro colega de Boston fueron los primeros candidatos abiertamente gay que comenzaron su formación en ese momento.
Ok, sé que te especializás en el tema, por eso me interesaba muchísimo poder conversar contigo.
I know you have specialized on this particular field. That's why I was so interested in talking to you and listening to your ideas about this subject.
So now my main interest is gender and sexuality and psychoanalytic process, and I teach about that here at Columbia. And I'm just in this past October, in October of 2017, I became the director of Columbia Psychoanalytic. So I'm the first gay or lesbian director of a major institute here in America.
It's great. Congratulations.
I never could have predicted that, that's for sure.
Eso nunca se lo imaginó.
No, seguro. Bueno, después lo vamos a traducir.
Bueno, sí.
Bueno, ¿vos pensás que podemos considerar la psicosexualidad en el siglo XXI de la misma manera que lo pensó Freud? ¿Y qué diferencias, si las hay, podrías remarcar?
Do you feel that we can consider psychosexuality in the 21st century psychoanalysis in the same way as Freud did? And what differences, if any, could you point out for us?
Well, let me start by saying I think Freud was a total genius. I think the idea of free association and of following free association to understand unconscious mental content was groundbreaking. And I also think that the 3 essays on a theory of sexuality are extremely important. And I think they were very modern for their time. For example, he was able to separate things like the aim and the aim and object. So what you want to do sexually and who you want to do it with. That's actually a very modern perspective.
Que Freud tenía una perspectiva muy moderna y que era un genio absoluto en su opinión, porque lo que él propuso ya desde 3 ensayos de teoría sexual fue realmente innovador. El tema de diferenciar el objeto sexual del impulso, diferenciar lo que uno quiere hacer y con quién quiere hacerlo, fue novedoso para su época.
On the other hand, I think what became problematic in Freudian theory actually stemmed from the 3 essays and from his idea of psychosexual development as so much occurring in developmental stages. I think today we wouldn't think of it as a stage you pass through, but rather more as like layers that build on top of one another, but are all still there. So what happened in terms of sexuality because of Freud is also the problem that people were thought to have less developmental capacity if they were stuck at an earlier stage, like a gay or lesbian people would be in his theory.
Okay. Por otro lado, también desde Tres ensayos de teoría sexual, lo que ella ve como problemático es que Freud lo definió como el ir pasando por sucesivas etapas del desarrollo y que para ella la cuestión de la psicosexualidad se va construyendo en capas que se van superponiendo unas a otras, no atravesando sucesivas etapas que hacen que, por ejemplo, una persona que es gay o es homosexual ha quedado como detenida en ese desarrollo y es como que no lo terminó de completar bien.
Claro.
Eso es lo que resulta problemático también en ese mismo escrito.
Sí, sí.
But I think what was extremely important was Freud's idea that we have these mucosal surfaces in the body that are sites of excitement and that are important in everyone. And I think the idea that the mind is built from units of physical experience in addition to internal fantasy was a brilliant idea and something that we definitely carry forward into the new century.
Lo que está definiendo como zonas erógenas lo considera que es fundamental, zonas de excitación en la superficie corporal y que además de la idea freudiana de la fantasía inconsciente, también que él haya contemplado que el desarrollo psicosexual tiene que ver también con estas zonas, de cómo estas zonas movilizan además de la fantasía. Y que eso es algo que también entra en el psicoanálisis del siglo XXI y en cómo se considera la psicosexualidad en el psicoanálisis de esta época, de este siglo.
Como que sigue siendo vigente.
Sí, como que eso es una idea importante.
Sí.
I also think one thing very important is his idea that the sexual drive is the driver of creativity and of mental life. That is a huge development that we want to keep. And that idea that sexuality fuels human behavior is super important and something we want to move forward with into the new century. Even though we want to give up his ideas about women or about gay and lesbian people or about people that are, that are transgender or gender fluid. So there's much to be given up, but also some really great things to keep.
Hay un montón de cosas que ella las dejaría, las abandonaría, como la idea de las mujeres que tenía Freud, la idea de la gente que es homosexual, o lo que ahora se deben llamar estos otros grupos que ahora se han definido con posterioridad a Freud. Verlos desde la perspectiva freudiana no es algo que para ella aporte. Sí aporta mucho, y es lo que ella quiere llevar a este siglo de psicoanálisis, es la idea de este impulso, de este drive, de la pulsión, que es fuente de creatividad y de salud mental. Y que esto es lo que también fogonea, impulsa el desarrollo mental y la creatividad.
Me surge preguntarle qué es lo nuevo para ella, ¿no? ¿Qué es lo que ella sí agregaría? Que hay aspectos de Freud que siente que no van más, pero ¿qué sería lo nuevo?
What would you consider to be the new stuff, the new things in psychoanalysis that are worth keeping or worth developing, perhaps?
I think that we've really learned a lot from relational theory. I think that they have created a literature on sexuality and gender that didn't exist before, and that their ideas about how it becomes explored in the relationship with the patient are very important. And I think one important thing that they did is to remove the sense of judgment about people's experience and what it means, because they were very interested in the relation with the patient themselves, and their focus was on the relationship. I think that allowed them to be less trying to decide what is the right thing for the person, and it really freed clinicians up to explore without necessarily having a preordained, like a pre-decided outcome that they think would be best for people. So I think they gave us a certain freedom of exploration in this area.
Los analistas de la teoría relacional, que al centrarse en el vínculo con el paciente y en los vínculos que establece a su vez el paciente, son más libres para abordar las elecciones que hace ese paciente y no están pensando tanto si es bueno para él, cómo debería haber sido. sino que son como más amplios, no van como con una idea preconcebida de cómo debieran ser las cosas, y que al enfocarse en el tipo de vínculo han aportado mucho, y es lo que provee como a un margen más amplio para la exploración del tema de la vincularidad, incluyendo también la forma en que se aborda a una persona que tiene otro tipo de orientación, ¿no? Sexual.
I think another thing they did that was very important is call attention to the fact that talking about sexuality with patients, it has a performance aspect where talking about it almost feels the same as having sex. Like there is an exciting part of the talk that feels to many clinicians as if it's somehow crossing a boundary, because there, as Virginia Goldner wrote about, there is this idea that talking about sex is almost the same as doing it. And I think that helps people with their countertransference to understand that there's no way to talk about sexuality and not have the feeling in the room heat up.
¿Qué otro aspecto importante de los terapeutas que están orientados a la teoría relational theory,
sí,
relacional o intersubjetiva,
sí.
quizás se tradujo acá, es que al habilitar la posibilidad de hablar de la psicosexualidad y de la vida sexual, hay algo que es el aspecto performativo de hablar de eso, es que también está sucediendo, tiene como un aspecto sexual el hecho de hablarlo, y que eso ayuda con el tema de la contratransferencia y todo, como que es muy difícil hablar de algo sin que pase nada, digamos, en el ámbito de la sesión, como que algo se enciende sería, ¿no? Algo más pasa,
dijo.
algo excitante, exacto, sí. Por hablar, ¿no? Hablar es parecido, no igual, pero es parecido a hacerlo.
Y en un sentido se perdería la neutralidad del analista.
Would the analyst's neutrality be lost in this way?
I don't think the analyst's neutrality has to be lost, but I think the analyst has to know that they're likely to have a physical and psychological reaction to talking about these subjects, but it's actually awareness of their own reaction that will be sure that they're able to remain neutral. I think many analysts are afraid to get into issues about sexuality because they're afraid of what will be stirred up in the patient and in themselves. But being able to help the patient means having to come to terms with what that feels like in yourself to talk about sexuality, because it's such a prohibited thing, maybe especially in America, to talk about.
Claro, dice que
because of our puritanical roots in America.
Claro, que en virtud de esas raíces puritanas que hay en Norteamérica, que a veces es como un tema delicado para conversar, y que para ella la cuestión de la neutralidad tiene que ver con que el analista sea consciente de lo que le suscita a él hablar con un paciente respecto de estas cosas que tienen que ver con la sexualidad, y poder manejar y entenderse a sí mismo para poder así ayudar al paciente. O sea, que no es que se resuelve no hablando, sino incorporándolo, analizándolo y manejándolo, y la neutralidad pasa por ese lado.
Sí, seguro. Sí. Siempre en el psicoanálisis hablábamos de la sexualidad, siempre. Eso. Ahora, ¿crees que se puede pensar que la psicosexualidad es parte de la identidad de una persona?
Do you feel that psychosexuality is part of a person's identity?
Yes, I definitely feel like psychosexuality is part of your identity, because the fantasies from various levels of development or various times in development form a lot about your other character traits, I think. So, we used to think that all character defenses arose from different levels of development, that, for example, obsessive compulsive personality traits came from anal stage of development. I don't think we see it in quite as of a lockstep one-to-one correspondence anymore as we used to, but I think that those ideas and the fact that sexual fantasy forges character is very important and is still true.
Piensa que sí, porque las fantasías sexuales no se pueden pensar como separadas de otros rasgos de personalidad, y que si bien ya no está esta idea de pensarlo término a término, ¿no? Bueno, el sintomatología o caracteropatía obsesivo-compulsiva tiene que ver con una detención en el estadio anal, pero sí que hay fantasías sexuales que ayudan a formar ciertos rasgos de personalidad, con lo cual no se puede pensar, deduzco yo, ahora es una interpretación mía de lo que dice Susan, no se puede pensar una cosa sin otra, ¿no? No son como compartimientos estancos.
Another thing I forgot before is that I think the work of Otto Kernberg on aggression and its relation to sexuality is important, and that rather than thinking of sex and aggression as completely separate drive entities, looking at how they come together and separate again is very interesting. And I think we've learned a lot about people's sexuality when they're unable to have full relationships with whole objects, when they're having part object relationships, and how that's expressed in sexuality is different because of Kernberg's work.
Sigue siendo vigente la importancia del trabajo de Otto Kernberg y de los conceptos de agresividad y sexualidad que se vinculan, no se pueden pensar como separados, la agresividad y la sexualidad, y que justamente la gente a la que le cuesta mantener un vínculo con un objeto total, lo que fue llamado el vínculo sexual con un objeto total, y que ve o toma aspectos parciales del objeto, los analistas lo ven o lo consideran desde otro punto de vista gracias a estas ideas que desarrolló Otto Kernberg. Por eso que para ellas siguen teniendo vigencia las ideas de Otto Kernberg.
¿Cómo lo pensarían? ¿A qué te referís exactamente?
What do you mean precisely by these ideas about es la idea de sexualidad y
el objeto parcial? ¿Cómo lo interpretaría? ¿Como perversión? ¿Como
how do you consider this idea of part objects or people not being able to connect with others as
con el objeto
total objects?
Well, I think we think more that perhaps in some states with fetishes that people are relating to a part object of a parent, that they can't integrate the good and the bad in relation to other people. And when they can't integrate the good and the bad, then they end up with these splits, and maybe partly what they like sexually can be very rigidified, or can be very much like following a rigid map that never changes. Because I think we have appreciation also from Ethel Person that people have a unique erotic signature, but there should be some flexibility in it as well.
La idea de Ethel Person, que la gente tiene como una firma sexual que le es propia, pero que eso debería tener cierta plasticidad, y que quizás en este vínculo con el objeto fetiche, por ejemplo, se caracteriza por una rigidez extrema, por seguir como normas prefijadas, y eso tiene que ver con una dificultad o una imposibilidad de unir lo bueno y lo malo en los vínculos con los padres, los vínculos más tempranos, parecería, ¿no?
A esta dificultad la llamarías perversión. ¿Hay que tomar al otro como un objeto fetiche? No sé si entiendo.
If you consider another in a fetishistic way, would you define this as perversion?
I think the word perversion should be dropped from psychoanalysis because it's such a loaded word, and it's used to judge people, not necessarily to help them. So to me, I'm not interested in calling it a perversion because I think it sets that person apart from other people. And I think that the person may have deeper reasons for their behavior that we understand in treatment and that improve, but I don't want to make them into another category. And I think Freud's brilliance was that all sexuality has polymorphous perversity in it. So I think we should be appreciative of polymorphous perversity in all sexuality and leave it at that. I just think people are often happier when they have a little variety in their sexual scripts. And that makes it more possible to actually meet with a partner during sexuality and have a true union. of the two people involved, or more than two involved in the sexual act.
Bueno, decía que la palabra está tan cargada negativamente, sí, que la dejaría de lado porque sirve como para juzgar y no para ayudar a otros. Y que en realidad vuelve a traer el tema este de que cuando hay un poco más no hay tanta rigidez, la persona puede vincularse con otro, puede compartir con otro o con otros, claro, pero eso lo habilita cierta flexibilidad dentro del rango de elección que cada uno toma.